are magnificent. You really are.
Well, what makes you say that, Doc?
You're the most persistent creature I've ever met. But likable. The astonishing thing is you're likable. Has anyone ever told you you're droll?
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Oh, come on, Doc. Come on.
Oh, but you are. You're a sly little elf, and you should be sitting under your own private little toadstool. You say you've been thrown off the case, and yet you have the flagrant audacity to come back here and bother me again. I respect that. It irritates me, but I respect it. How about a drink?
Greetings, Columbo fans. Welcome to the last episode of Season 7 of the Columbo Confab podcast. This is Sean.
And Steve.
And we're going to talk about Columbo's debut story. Actually, it's not his debut story, which I'm going to get into. Prescription Murder, starring Gene Barry as a murderous psychiatrist. So, before we get into the book, well, let me ask you. You've seen this like 5 times, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So
no, when you got me the box set, I really wanted to see what the very first episode was like.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I really enjoyed it. I've seen it multiple times since then. So.
Okay. And so here's a little bit of background information on this. So the show was created by a team, William Link and Richard Levinson. And back in the 60s, early 60s, maybe late 50s, I don't know exactly when, they wrote a short story called May I Come In, in which they introduced this lieutenant, and the main character is a murderer, and the detective comes in at the end and catches him. It was renamed Dear Corpus Delicti, and it was published in Alfred Hitchcock magazine. And in it, the detective's name is Lieutenant Fisher. So eventually, they made a TV movie out of the story. So this is... I have read the story. It's been about a year and a half since I read the story. We have a Twitter follower that sent it to me, Icar Femke.
That's nice.
So thank you for that. But I can't remember what the story was like. I do remember that the detective comes in at the end. And
like how far in the end are we talking about?
We're talking about like the last sentence. Okay. So when they made the teleplay for like an hour episode of some live action TV show like the Chevy Mystery Hour or something like that, they cast Bert Freed as Lieutenant Columbo, and I don't remember who as the villain, Dr. Fleming, but they gave Columbo a bigger role. And I think it was basically an earlier version of Prescription Murder. Because from there, they made a play called Enough Rope. They adapted it into a live-action play. The TV episode did horribly. They didn't like it at all. And they thought it would be better suited as a play. So they did a play. Joseph Cotton played Dr. Fleming. And an actor named Thomas Mitchell played Columbo. Now, for those of you who don't know who Thomas Mitchell is, because he's been dead since 1962, Thomas Mitchell played Scarlett O'Hara's dad in Gone with the Wind. And he also won an Academy Award for the movie Stagecoach as came out weird, Stagecoach, oh yeah. He also won an Academy Award for Stagecoach that same year for playing a drunken doctor. Okay? So... They got Thomas Mitchell to be in the play, and they then thought that it would make a good TV movie. So Thomas Mitchell he died in 1962, so they couldn't have him back. And I don't know whatever happened to Joseph Cotton. I don't know if he made it, but they cast Peter Falk, who was he had done some minor things. He had been nominated for an Oscar himself at one time. and he was in a show that lasted 2 seasons called The Trials of Richard O'Brien. Oh, I didn't write it down. And where he plays a shabby but brilliant lawyer. So they brought him in based on that. Oh, God.
Oh, okay. So that was the reason they went with Peter Falk, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the show. It's going to drive me crazy. But this was really popular, Prescription Murder. And for what it's worth, it was allegedly one of Universal's top 10 best-rated TV movies of all time.
Really?
For the time, yeah.
Huh.
I whatever that means, but I mean, I've seen some stuff that they've done on, like, we're fans of Doctor Who, and you've seen like early '60s Doctor Who. That's not live action. That's not live action, though. Well, it's live action, but it's not filmed and broadcast live. I've seen some stuff that's live. Like there's an old redoing of 10 Little Indians that I have on DVD from like 1955, starring Nina Foch, actually, whose name I might be mispronouncing, who's in this. She plays the dead wife, but some of it is really bad. So this was pretty highfalutin for the time.
Really?
If I can't tell watching it now that it's a made-for-TV movie. I would have taken it for a regular, like, cinema-released movie. Okay?
Yes, and I definitely got that feel. I mean, even in the introduction where they used like a kind of a Rorschach test thing, it felt very theatrical. Even the music, it almost gave it a James Bond feel to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So after this was so successful, Falk didn't want to do it anymore for whatever reason. Yeah, and so they waited 3 years before coming up with Ransom for a Dead Man. And that was the second pilot. They intended for that to be a pilot for the TV show that followed. So this isn't really a pilot. It's just a one-off made-for-TV movie that they did. And then 3 years later, let's make this into a full thing. And so there we go.
Wow,
so
that's fascinating. No, I didn't know all that.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up.
I like the fact that it's based off a play. And someday I'm going to track that play down and read it, called Enough Rope, because I really want to see the similarities and stuff. So yeah. Steve, tell us what happens in this.
Okay. Well, so we start off at a party. It's a 10th anniversary party for Dr. Ray Fleming and his wife Carol. But Dr. Ray Fleming is playing a game.
Oh,
which,
God.
What's the name of it? Like Botticelli or something like that?
Botticelli, yeah, something like that.
I'm not familiar with that game at all.
Yeah, I think.
So how does that work? Do you know?
Well, as far as I can tell, a bunch of wealthy dicks stand around and they pick somebody famous, and you have to guess. And the more obscure the person they pick, apparently the more they have more license to be a dick while they're playing it. I don't know. I just noticed that, of course, they're playing it, and Dr. Fleming picks some famous psychiatrist whose name starts with B that no one's ever heard of. And everybody's like, "Oh, Ray, you're always picking someone weird." Ha ha ha! But really, what kind of a dick does that? Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
And you notice right off the bat, there's a young girl at the party that kind of cozies up to Ray.
Yeah.
And his wife Carol notices, and so she's very suspicious of him fooling around.
Yeah.
And so that's an important part. She later will accuse him of cheating and stuff like that. But so one other thing that kind of caught my attention was that wonderful birthday cake, that wonderful anniversary cake that they wheel out. It had like sparklers and all sorts of things. Kind of funny because we're actually reviewing this on July 4th. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of expected a clown to jump out of that thing or something. It's
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was funny because the smoke that's just pouring off of that cake. I'm surprised it didn't set off any kind of water sprinkler systems within the studio or something like that.
Yeah.
That was interesting. But yeah.
Before we go on, let me just say that I do believe that these people are massive alcoholics. Maybe not massive
yes.
alcoholics, but their bar takes up half of their ugly living room. My God, what a gigantic bar. And they do a little bit of day drinking in this as well. Dr. Fleming has a bar hidden away in his office.
It's the early 70s. Come on, man. It's
late 60s.
That's what it was like.
I
Late
guess
60s.
so. I cannot fathom actually having a bar at work and then like having a glass of scotch.
I daydream all the time about it. I think it would be great.
I mean, I could actually pull it off. I could bring a bottle of whiskey with me to work and then get like a flask, but someone's going to catch on eventually because I'm going to screw something up and then get sued, or someone's going to say, well, his breath smells like alcohol or something like that. But I guess it was okay back then.
Yes, well, back then it was totally normal, and that's when people could smoke, and Columbo smoking a cigar was not so uncommon.
Yeah.
It was totally normal for that time period. But yeah, so Dr. Fleming receives a phone call, and at the time we don't know who it is. He's passing it off as a patient that needs immediate help, but it's actually Joan, the beautiful young redhead he's having an affair with.
Mm-hmm.
So he makes up some excuse that he's got to leave. Of course, Carol is very suspicious as to why he has to leave, because hell, they've got a party going on. It's the 10th anniversary party. Why would he need to go?
He says that it's a patient of his and that he's having an anxiety attack. Do you know, like, what kind of a psychiatrist gives out his home number to patients? They'd be calling like 5 times a day. That's you shouldn't be doing that. Maybe they did back then. I don't know. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I obviously got paid really well, so maybe he had some really high paying patients, like maybe someone in politics or actors, or somebody who would pay more for that kind of service.
Somebody who would probably be a murderer on a future Columbo episode. Yeah, that's right. All of the murderers in the future, those are all his patients, and that's why they're murderers. I'm just totally
because they never got the proper diagnosis that they needed from Dr. Fleming?
He like poisoned their minds to go out and murder.
Oh.
Starting with high-priced lawyer Leslie Williams, go murder your husband.
Sounds like something from the Marvel universe. That's great.
I don't know anything about that.
So we meet Joan. She's swimming in a. I would assume it's a home in the hills.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful swimming pool. Beautiful. So Ray can afford a penthouse.
I know.
This beautiful home. I'm assuming he's paying for this house. Don't you?
I don't. Well, no. Okay, so he's only been seeing her for about a year. He's been seeing her professionally for a year. I don't know how long their affair has been going on. But yeah, she can. That house, by the way, is in a lot of different movies and TV shows.
I know it's in some Columbos as well. I've recognized it before.
It was in The Most Crucial Game with Robert Culp. It was like the.
Was it the same pool?
Yes.
Really?
Wait! No! Not the swimming pool where the guy was killed. But there's a scene later on where. Remember when Columbo shows up at the office, and the office is actually in that house, and he hears feedback on the speakers because they're playing music, and it's hard to explain.
That's the same place.
But if you want to get a really good look at it, watch Galaxy Quest, the movie Galaxy Quest. It's the house that Tim Allen lives in, and that's where he goes in the beginning of the movie after he gets drunk at the Star Trek or whatever convention it is, and we see him wake up with a hangover in that house.
Fascinating. I have to watch it again.
Yeah. So,
it's been a while.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
So this is where they discuss that Ray and Joan discuss what's going to happen tomorrow. They don't go into detail, but just that she's nervous. And I find it interesting because she even says at some point, couldn't I just talk to her? She doesn't know me, but can't be that much different. Can I just talk to her? And so it felt a little weird that that someone who's caring enough to concern herself with the wife and yet follow through with the murder. I thought that was a little strange. I didn't felt that was in line.
Well, it's important that he's the one that's doing the actual killing, and that she's not going to be involved with that. She's not going to show up at the scene of the crime until afterwards.
True. But I'm surprised she would be involved in it.
Yeah.
An accomplice, you know?
Yeah, well, he needs it, of course, because he needs a female stand-in. How much he really needs her is a different question. But
right.
So he returns home to his wife, Carol.
She's waiting for him, too.
She's pissed. She's angry.
I think she's drugged up. The reason I say that is because is it established it's 1 a.m. at this point?
Yeah, it's after midnight.
And she's got sunglasses on.
She's got sunglasses on every time. I noticed that a lot. Like, it was almost like she has prescription lenses, but she lost them, and she just wears sunglasses. She has them in her hand at the party in the opening scene.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I wondered about that too. But he has to come.
I figured she's just got a hangover, or she's taking something.
No, she's got sunglasses on all the time, almost. She tells him she's going to phone her lawyer in the morning. He can sleep in the guest room.
Yeah, she's made the bed up for him. Yeah,
and he comes clean, but doesn't really tell the truth. He says that.
Well, I mean, not really. So he tells her this fib, and he keeps changing the lie until it finally suits the situation for himself. And I really, it's sad because you do start to feel sorry for Carol because she even says, I wanted a husband, I wanted a real husband, not one that I forgot the word she used, but that she wanted somebody who was actually her husband, not somebody for show.
Yeah.
And she really does care, and it's so sad because as we're gearing up, when she finds out that he's planned this trip to Acapulco, never been. Kind of want to go because it was mentioned in this a lot. It was mentioned in I Dream of Jeannie constantly.
It's not as nice anymore, from what I understand.
Oh, really?
The hotel, the hotel that they show later on actually still exists, and there are nice pictures. But I understand that it's a very dangerous city to go to nowadays.
Really?
Yeah, I read somewhere about that. So
because we could do a Columbo convention at the same hotel in Acapulco.
No,
that'd be fun.
No, that's okay.
No. But yeah, no, she's so excited, and it's sad because again, she's willing to make this relationship work. She's so happy when she finds out that he wasn't fooling around according to his story. Yeah. He wasn't fooling around, that he's been secretly planning this anniversary trip, and she's so happy, and she's so, I don't know, you
feel really bad. You know that she's going to get it, but you know what? There's also an added thing. After he tells her that, we're going to go to Acapulco tomorrow, and he's like, okay, see you in the morning, and he goes to walk out of the room, and she goes,
yes,
Ray.
He has that look on his face, like, oh
no. God. And you know what? It's not really her, but it's like, who wants to have sex with somebody that they're going to have to kill tomorrow? Oh, like, there's nothing else that could get me more flaccid than, do I have to...
Well, obviously, she wasn't young enough. He likes the younger ladies, so...
Yeah. And it's sad, though, because the next day when she meets up, she's like, have you told your secretary where you'll be? And he's so cool. He's like, then I'll be in Mexico. No particulars. Oh, well, this is going to be like a second honeymoon. And just when he says that, just when she says that, he strangles her.
And she's so happy. I mean, she's looking out. What a beautiful day. It's, the birds are singing. There's rainbows and unicorns dancing. It's just so sad.
And it's a really violent death for 1968 in TV too. I mean, we don't show her. We see it from the back, but with the music and everything, and
it's intense. No, the whole scene's intense. The music picks up. You've got the phone ringing. It's when she dies, her hand hits the piano.
Yeah. Or does she die?
Right. Yes.
The phone rings, which is kind of awkward. That's not a really good time for the phone to ring. I wouldn't even answer the phone. I don't know why he had to answer it.
Well, they didn't have answering machines. I think back then, if you got a call, it was important.
Yeah.
You picked up.
Yeah.
Not like today where you've got people calling you about to refinance your home or pay off your student loans or whatever else. You gotta get like those constantly.
So, she's dead. Joan Hudson shows up and changes into Carol's clothes, specifically a blue dress and gloves. And they go to the airport, which this would never work today. If they were to like remake this,
oh no, yeah.
Maybe
TSA would get them immediately.
Maybe it would work because you know what? It's I know that they're probably a little bit more thorough than like the guy at the door at your local dive club, but really they just glance at your face and then sign your ticket. So maybe they could pull it off. I don't know. So they get to the airport. They're getting on the plane and they stage a fake argument in which she storms off the plane and he's got a great line. He says, "Yeah, why don't you stay home with your friends? Run up a nice bar bill." And I thought, well, that's what I would do if I was a mom.
So I like the exteriors of LAX. I think it's fun to see that because you and I have both been in and out of that airport.
Yeah.
Vastly different, obviously, today. I also like the fact that people who were on the flight dressed up.
Yes, indeed.
Not people in Bermuda shorts and wife beater shirts. They actually had suit and tie dress, almost Sunday attire, Sunday church attire.
And there was even an area in the front of the plane where there was like a booth where you could sit and have a cocktail.
Yeah,
it's not as fancy as the plane in Any Old Port in a Storm when he flies from L.A. to New York, and they've got a fucking organ in there, and they're having a little party. Or an organ, or whatever that piano thing was. So, I like that too.
Yeah, flying was so different. Oh my gosh, what a wonderful time to be alive.
Yeah. Of course, every time you got on an airplane, there was probably a 5% chance it would crash, so it was like, well, we might as well dress up. No,
you're right.
I'm kidding. There's one thing about the apartment I did want to note. We don't see much of the bathroom, but did you notice that he only goes in there for a second when he's trying to, fix it. There was a burglary. Mm-hmm. They have a mostly gold bathroom with green shag carpeting. It is positively the ugliest bathroom I have ever seen in or out of Columbo. I didn't even notice. It is so ugly that it's terrible. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Go back and look at that. It hurts the eyes, really. I could. It's so deep. I could just keep my contact lenses in there. Never mind.
Interesting.
That's a reference to something else, but I didn't work.
So I want to go back to the scene where they're at the apartment after Ray has killed his wife Carol, and Joan comes in, and he asks. Well, first he ransacks the home. Taking the silverware, jewelry, and then of course she's dressing herself up to look like Carol. It was interesting because at one point Ray will ask Joan, "Hey, call the dry cleaners and arrange for a pickup," and he uses a silk hanky. Mm-hmm. I'm not real sure, some kind of handkerchief. Mm-hmm. Uses it to pick up the phone so there's no prints, right? Mm-hmm. And as they leave, he's being very meticulous. He's making sure the lights are turned off, everything's the way it should be before they go to the airport. And the camera pans away from the front door they just left from, to the phone, and you see that handkerchief. And you start to think, aha, that's the first thing he's going to screw up on. And then before you know it, he comes back, remembers, and takes the handkerchief.
Yep. Yeah, that was a clever shot. That's like, you got to be careful committing a murder because any small little thing. I mean, that's what the whole story is about.
I almost feel like Ray, out of most of the murderers in Columbo, is the most. What's the word? Most particular. The most. What's the word I'm thinking of? He's very aware. I think he was more likely to get away with a murder. He just seems more intelligent than usual.
You know, that's interesting. I think the last 3 episodes that we've talked about, the murderer is a very meticulous, intelligent person.
Yeah.
And you know what? Not that there's
Meticulous, yes.
any dumb murderers, but you know, we've got the one where the guy shoots a guy and leaves his whiskey bottle in the room. Like, hello. That was a really dumb move to make because it eventually incriminated you at the end. I'm talking about the conspirators, of course. And there are other murderers that do other really silly mistakes, like turning off the light in the room when the light shouldn't be on, or you know, things like that. Or mistakes that you can actually see as they're committing the crime.
Well, and with Ray, he's planning like 3-4 steps ahead.
Yeah.
Before even Columbo comes on the scene, he's expecting police to question him about the clothes, and he's going to have a valid excuse, like, I don't know where that is. You sure you didn't miss it? All along, he knows exactly where it is. He's just making the story more believable as he goes. You know.
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny when Ray or Dr. Fleming finally makes it to Acapulco. He's on a boat fishing, right? And you've got a guy cutting up, I guess, bait and throwing it into the water. I'm not sure what they're fishing for, but
yeah, I don't know what that was. Was he like cutting off fish heads so that they could eat them later? I don't know. Was it to attract fish in the
it had to be like chumming the waters or something. I was waiting for Jaws to appear, you know. but he goes Miguel.
I don't know why I remember that.
Yeah, Miguel, go. I'm starving. Make some lunch. I'm surely he's paying Miguel some serious money there.
Oh yeah.
And I hope he washed his hands because that's not tuna fish sandwich he's eating. That's peanut butter.
Yep, that's absolutely true. Yeah, because he's going to have fish hands or bait hands or whatever. And yeah.
And then of course he takes that opportunity to dump the jewelry in the silverware.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else, but okay, yeah.
Oh, what did you think I was going to say?
He takes that opportunity to dump. Just sounded funny.
Well, after eating Miguel's sandwiches, yes, probably he probably gets the what's that? Montezuma's Revenge.
Yes. Gosh, no one calls it that anymore. The only time I've heard that term is on Columbo, believe it or not. It's on the cruise ship episode. They mentioned Montezuma's Revenge. And I remember looking it up to find out what is she talking about. For those of you that don't know, Montezuma's Revenge is when you travel to a faraway place and you drink the water and you get
get diarrhea.
You get the diarrhea. But it's a really good way to lose some weight. It happened to me in Thailand, and it was really annoying.
Oh, what a horrible place to have.
But I mean, it was
diarrhea.
But and it's weird because we just went to the pharmacy, and the girl asked, "Do you have any stomach pains?" I mean, it was like I would drink. I was thirsty, so I'd drink water. But the water would just go like right into my mouth, straight down like gravity through my body, and it wasn't. I'm okay. Never mind. I'm just not going to talk about it anymore. But it was like, it was so. I was so clean by the time I was done with it that I was no longer like. It was just water coming out, and not even
brown. Did you lose any weight?
Oh God, yeah. I think I lost like 5 pounds, But then, we got in the plane, drank some more, and then that helped. Anyway.
Interesting.
I'm sorry. Why am I talking about this? This isn't.
I don't know.
This isn't the TARDIS Tavern. This isn't the TARDIS Tavern. People don't want to hear about that. Okay.
So Ray comes home. First mistake is when he opens the door, he doesn't say, "Honey, I'm home," or whatever.
And not only that, it's like he walks in. He sees the broken window. He sees the tape outline of a body on the floor, and says nothing.
Right, and I think we always discuss on these podcasts when did Columbo know? I think Columbo knew immediately.
Me too.
I think at this very meeting, I think he was suspicious on how Ray reacted. But yes, so we finally see Columbo, a very young and handsome Peter Falk. I mean, really young. How old is he in this, by the way?
He is younger than we are. He is either 40 or 41. I just read that he was 40 when they began the series, so at this point he might be 41. So yes, he is younger than we are, Steve.
He's got a nice short haircut. Not the curly, messed up hair. His rain jacket is clean.
Yeah.
He's wearing a nice suit. His shoes are not those beat up. He looks very well dressed.
Yeah. So here's a little fun fact. Peter Falk, when he read the script, thought that it called for a raincoat and not an overcoat. So I guess at some point they had some creative input in what their costumes would be. So he went to a Goodwill or a Salvation Army store and just bought this stupid old raincoat. And allegedly it's the same raincoat that he kept all through the years until his death. So yeah, that's why Columbo wears a raincoat.
I heard that, but it seemed the jacket in tonight's episode was slightly different. I don't know if that's true. It's very believable, but the collar looked a little different.
Yes, I agree 100%. In fact, they recently tried to auction it off, but they didn't because there was some question as to its authenticity. And there were multiple jackets because one was sold for $1,000 at an Easter Seals dinner. So Peter Falk.
That's it?
Yeah.
What year was that?
It was. Oh man, I read it in this book.
I would have bought that. $1,000.
Yeah, it was one of the duplicates. They had like his main coat that he probably bought, and then they had like one or two duplicates, just to have just in case. And one of them sold for only $1,000. So.
Oh my god, I would so buy that.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would put that on my credit card totally. No problem whatsoever. I don't know what year that was though. It must have been in the early '80s, late '70s. It's still.
Well, so $1,000 back then was a ton more now.
Yeah, but still, I mean, even if it was $5,000,
that'd be an investment. I mean, it would be worth easily a lot more.
Yeah.
Over time.
Oh yeah.
I'm surprised it went for so little. Ray notices the outline on the floor, which automatically assume, okay, that's where a body was. And when Columbo talks to him, Columbo does surprise him. He's not expecting anybody to be there, but Columbo does say, somebody tried to kill your wife.
Oh wait, can we go back one thing? I'm sorry. Yeah. I just wanted to point something out. When Columbo walks in from the other room, I think he's in the bedroom when Fleming comes into the apartment. When Columbo walks from the bedroom into the living room, they play this music like, "Ooh, the great detective is making an entrance." Mm-hmm. They didn't like that when they made the second pilot. In that one, the detective makes his entrance by ringing the bell, and Lee Grant goes out on the porch, and he's just standing there looking through the bushes because he dropped his pen or his pencil. They didn't want it to be like, oh, this is the Grand Master detective, whatever, and they do that here a little bit. And, because really, it's the Dr. Fleming show, and Columbo's just somebody who sort of wheedles his way into eventually making it the Columbo show in a way by the end, in the final minutes. But go ahead. I'm so sorry, Steve.
Oh, no. So I thought it was an interesting point that Columbo says, somebody tried to kill your wife. And Dr. Fleming continues the conversation as if he heard someone killed your wife. But he registers it a moment later and says, "What do you mean try?"
Yeah.
He realizes she's still alive.
He is so guilty as fuck when he's talking to Columbo in that apartment in that opening scene. It's so obvious. There are like, if you take someone like Rip Torn in his episode when he finds out that his nephew's dead, that's like this is the exact opposite of that. Like, he just raises his hands a little and furrows his brow and, what, she's in the hospital? What, I must, okay, let's go see her. Yeah.
Let's go see her so I can strangle her again. Unplug the iron lung or whatever she saw.
So
whatever. I know that's something completely different, but So I did enjoy the fact that Columbo says, he says, I want to go see my wife. Can we go to the hospital? And Columbo says, I've got a car waiting for us downstairs. I'm like, it's not Columbo's car. You really hope that had already been set up.
No, unfortunately.
No, none of that. There's no dog. There's no car. All we have is the jacket and the cigar.
And the wife.
Yes, the wife does get brought up once or twice in this.
So, yeah, the first appearance of the car was in the 4th story, Death Lends a Hand, with Robert Culp, apparently. But according to what I'm reading here, but I could have sworn it was in Murder by the Book, but I'm not sure. So,
yeah, dog doesn't show up until season 3 or something.
Yeah, Etude in Black, when he gets him from the pound, his time was up, if you know what I mean. So yeah, Columbo's actually not quite the shabby figure that he later becomes.
No.
I think. Okay, let me ask you this, Steve. Okay, so he seems like a very well put together guy. He's young. He's handsome. Do you think that sometime between now and Ransom for a Dead Man, and I'm just saying in your hypothetical little world that you've created, that his wife dies, and that's when he becomes kind of shambling and lets himself go a little bit, like the complete...
That would make more... Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
That makes sense to me.
All right. So
I would agree with that.
So it'd be the opposite of Monk, who, after his wife dies, he has a nervous breakdown, and he's, completely OCD. Okay. So we can assume that his wife is alive and well. And
this one?
Yeah, and she gives him a pencil every morning. Just by that, I mean a writing implement.
Oh, yeah, so that's a characteristic that definitely carries over, is the... always needing to borrow a pencil.
Yeah,
that's laid down here.
Yeah.
So they go to the hospital. Dr. Fleming's urgently trying to see his wife for obvious reasons. He wants to see how aware she is, I guess. Make sure she's not talking. And this is where we run into the district attorney, who happens to be a friend of Dr. Fleming, and his name's Gordon. What a douche. I mean, everybody's a douche in this episode, really, but, I mean, him specifically, because he's trying to throw Columbo off his game. He's a public servant. He should be helping Columbo. He should just say, hey, he's a friend of mine, do what you need that needs to be done, and let me know if you need any assistance from me. Not this whole, what are you implying, what are you saying, getting him off the case, which we find out later. I'm surprised. This guy, I hope he got fired. At the end of this episode, I hope they go to him and say, Gordon, what you did was illegal and unlawful. You are let go. You are fired. And I hope he did jail time on top of that.
I don't think he would have done jail time. But it's interesting.
I'm just saying
how some of these movies and TV shows portray district attorneys is not very good. Exhibit 1. Check out a movie called L.A. Confidential. Ooh.
Oh, I've always wanted to see that. Never seen it.
Yeah, you would enjoy that probably.
I mean, like he says to Columbo, he goes, Columbo says, sooner or later, something will come up. And he says back to Columbo, says back to Columbo, let's make that sooner, shall we?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, what a prick.
What an ass. Oh, my God. I just hated the guy immediately.
Why don't you and Harvey Dent go jump off a bridge or something? Is that right? Is it Harvey Dent? Was he the district attorney before he became Two-Face?
That sounds right.
Okay.
I thought you were about to say Harvey Weinstein. Different Harvey.
No, that would be a good Columbo. Harvey Weinstein as the murderer. Or somebody playing a Harvey Weinstein type character. Oh.
That would have to be done. Yes.
I'm sorry. This is another... I never really understood what Harvey Weinstein did until I heard a podcast about it. And almost everything that you read or hear about all these other assholes that done all this other shit pales in comparison to the things that Harvey Weinstein has done to women and his employees, and the things that people have done for them, not just the women, but his employees who would lie for him and procure actresses to meet him in his hotel. The man is just a complete piece of shit. I'm sorry, it's a little... yeah. Anyway, yeah. Listen, go out and do some research on Harvey Weinstein, gentlemen, and that's a good example of what not to be like.
Fascinating thing we're kind of venturing off into. That's a nice side story.
I'm sorry.
Back to Columbo.
So they go to the hospital, and there's this wonderful scene in the lobby, or not in the lobby, in the hallway outside her hotel room, and the doctor goes, "Oh, she's dead. I'm sorry, but there was one thing." Oh no, she wakes up momentarily, and there's a bit of suspense where he's like, "Oh
yeah." So we find out she's still alive and she's conscious.
Yeah. See, this is what's so cool about this though, is that this guy's a complete asshole. Okay, he killed this poor woman, or tried to kill her, and yet for some reason it's still a suspenseful scene because
It is.
And
Columbo even says, "Well, I guess we got lucky after all, because she's going to be able to tell us who killed, or who attacked her." So Fleming is sweating bullets as he should, and I love the scene when the doctor who's treating her comes out of the room, because they won't let them into the room where Carol is for whatever reason. I'm not real sure.
They couldn't afford the extra set, probably.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So the doctor comes out and delivers the bad news that Carol has finally passed. She's dead. And if Dr. Fleming says, "Did she say anything? Did she say anything about the attacker or something like that? What did she say?" And he said she only said one thing, and it may be a condolence to you, but she just said your name.
And he's acting so transparently guilty, like
God, he's going to hell.
Yeah,
That
he
dude
is
going to hell.
just like, why doesn't he just paint himself murderer right now? It's just everything. Man, oh man. Okay, so now we get to the parts where I just start not losing it in a bad way, but like I can't remember what scene came after what, and I know there's something to do with the dress and the gloves, but I can't remember what it is.
Right. So what Joan was supposed to do was, they faked a fight on the flight, which I'm amazed they could leave the plane.
I've done it. I had to do it one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So
it's before they close the doors. Anybody can get off.
You still can?
Yeah.
So she goes into the restroom at the airport, and she changes out of her costume, her Carol costume. And then she puts the blue... She's supposed to put the blue dress and gloves into the dirty laundry bag that's outside the apartment. Mm-hmm. Of course, she forgets the gloves.
Yeah, you had 3 jobs, Joan.
Well, it's so in the way Ray treats her.
It's really
horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, she's trying. She's obviously not comfortable with this. I mean, who would? He treats her like crap. And thankfully she finally sees that. But yeah,
he tells her, "Don't call me for a week." It has to be like a week.
They never do. What's the one that we watched with the art dealer? Same situation.
Oh, there were more than one. There was that one where she kept calling him at his TV show.
Yeah, don't call me.
Exactly. There was the one.
They always do.
Columbo Likes the Nightlife, where poor man's Scarlett Johansson kept calling him like, "Don't do this." And you know what? It doesn't. It doesn't speak.
That's right. I forgot about that one.
It does not speak well for the lady murderers that they do this. It's actually if we need to have it reversed. We need to have a female murderer who has like a stupid young, hustler boyfriend. But we're not. That's never going to happen because we're never going to have Columbo again. But okay.
Might never know. Well, no, not under Universal. I think Universal doesn't care crap. But I think somebody else, if they could take this from Universal, I think this could be something like if it was like a Netflix show. Oh yeah.
I
think this would be a hit. But Universal won't release it, and the way they treat this property, I think Universal Studios should be ashamed on how they treat Columbo. I mean, they just recently paid off the creators of the show, like a year ago or this year.
Yeah.
It's really shameful. But anyway,
you're right though. It would make a great Netflix show, and they could make it a little bit darker without going over over the edge. It doesn't have to be, like Mindhunter. It could just be, people talking in rooms, not a big budget. They could get somebody who's not a big famous movie star like Mark Ruffalo. Is he? He's, I don't know. If you get nominated for like 2 or 3 Academy Awards, are you a big famous movie star? I don't know. But yeah, I agree. Well, when you've got so many other whatever it is that they do to produce, who has the time, really?
But so we next see Ray, or Dr. Fleming, at strolling in the park. He's at some kind of art show, I guess.
Yeah.
I was half expecting him to buy an ice cream. And I was thinking, no, that's the Mile High IQ. What was the name of that one?
The Bye Bye Sky High IQ murder
thank
case.
you, yes.
Yes. He's
every time someone's in the park in one of these episodes, I think they're going to buy an ice cream.
He's going to buy an ice cream and then throw out his murder glove and in the trash after he wipes the soot off his... See, that was suspenseful, too. We haven't talked about that one on this podcast, but yes. Yes, I thought the exact same thing, I swear.
Yeah, where's the ice cream? I'm so confused right now. But, so he's walking in the park. There's an art show. And now, the show, I feel like they're doing something with mirrors in this. It represents something. I'm not really sure. I can't follow. Because mirrors are used in this, especially in this scene, where he's looking at a painting that has a cracked mirror, like glued into the painting. I'm not really sure why you would do that, but it has Columbo's image refracted in that mirror. And so I wanted to ask you, what did you think the representation of the mirror is in this episode? Because it's not the first. I mean, the mirror is brought up again in this when Columbo is interrogating Joan. You see Joan's image. They're shooting it from her reflection. So I think there's something with the mirrors, is what I'm getting to. Do you have any clues or thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that are not that it means anything, but it was the director probably saw that piece of art and sort of on a whim chose to do that. There's this real speaking of mirrors, this is getting a little ahead, but there's a technique, especially in television, called Two Faces East, where you've got somebody usually sitting at a mirror, combing their hair, talking to somebody behind them. Okay? So we see the reflection in the mirror, and they're both facing the same way towards the mirror, so we're able to see them both at the same time through the mirror. There is a shot in this that is exactly kind of the same structure, except they're both facing away from the camera. And that's at the end, when he goes and yells at Joan, and we'll talk about that in a little while, and she storms off. And as she storms off, her back's to the camera, his back's to the camera. They could have easily made it the camera in front of her and her reacting to him, but instead, she's walking, he says something to her, she stops, she just inclines her head a little bit and then walks off. I think that was the director of just making a choice and taking something that normally would have been static and uninteresting and taking it on a different level, which I think is another reason why the direction in this goes way beyond most of the 1960s TV stuff that I've seen. Granted, there's not a lot of it that I've seen, at least American stuff, but it's really well done. It's like I said before, it's almost cinematic. But I don't think that there's any sort of metaphors or symbolism or anything behind that.
Okay.
It was just...
that's what I was thinking initially. But yeah, I think it did definitely make the shots more interesting. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, this is when Columbo, I guess the first... I don't want to say interrogation, but this is when Columbo really starts to ask Dr. Fleming some serious questions. So they go to his office. They meet in the park, they go to his office. And Columbo, he kind of... I like his technique, how he kind of disarms you with silliness. Not like goofy kind of silliness, just more this randomness of conversation, of questions. And he brings up his sister-in-law. He's commenting on, I guess, the decor of the office for Dr. Fleming, and talks about a kidney-shaped table that his sister-in-law has.
Yes.
And I thought it was funny because he talks about how it's uncomfortable. The husband a husband. It got to the husband years ago. He doesn't talk anymore. It got to him years ago. It's all revolving around this kidney-shaped coffee table.
Yeah, that was very cute. There's another thing that he did that there's a lighter on Dr. Fleming's desk.
That thing had a flame like 3 inches long. Oh my god! It could burn your eyebrows off.
And it takes forever for him to figure out how to turn it on. That's totally 1960s too for you. A man who does not smoke, as far as we know, having a cigarette lighter on his desk.
So yeah, there's something that Dr. Fleming said that now you say that comes to mind. Dr. Fleming said that this is their next meeting in that office later in the episode, and he says how unassuming you are, blah blah blah. He says even down to the prop cigar that you have.
Yeah,
and that kind of went over my head at that moment, and well, I guess it kind of twinged in the back of my mind, but I'm like, prop cigar? No, he smokes cigars. So do you think the intent was that Columbo really didn't smoke?
I think that he smoked.
In this episode.
Well, how many times do we actually see Columbo puffing on the cigar with smoke coming out of it? Not in this episode, but just in general. Mm-hmm. I think that Columbo spent a lot of time just chewing on like cigars that were lit, and he didn't smoke them properly because he was talking or whatever, and he forgot about the cigar, so it wasn't lit, and he would just chew on the end of it. Like, there's another detective, Rex Stout, who wrote the Nero Wolfe books, has a character named Inspector Kramer who does the exact same thing. He never lights his cigar, only chews on unlit cigars. So that's what it reminds me of, kind of. And I guess what's important about the scene is as he's leaving the office, he runs into Miss Joan Hudson.
Yeah, they finally meet. Yes.
Yeah, and he asks her, "What's your name, ma'am? If I may ask." And I think
he finds out. Actually, there's a scene where before Columbo and Dr. Fleming go to the hospital, he receives a phone call.
Yeah.
And it's Joan at that moment where she's got to talk to him, and so Columbo remembers that conversation about 2 o'clock appointment, whatever he says to her. I don't recall exactly, but he's able to remember that the person that's in the lobby is that person that was on the phone, so that makes her a key interest to him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and ask her for her name.
And he knows that if this guy killed his wife, there must be a woman in on it because there was some woman who walked off the plane to provide him with his alibi, and she's the most obvious at that moment. And so he's freaking out. He's treating her like shit, like you said, because she forgot to put the gloves with the dry cleaning along with the blue dress.
Who can blame her, honestly? I mean, I'm surprised Ray is such a hard ass.
Yeah. And I can't remember what exactly comes of it. Oh, yes. He meets her at the apartment, and she comes in with the gloves. But the problem is, while he's there talking to her, he pours her a drink, and Columbo shows up. So she's got to go hide in the closet. And
he forgets about the second drink with her lipstick on it.
Yes. Another suspenseful scene. And I kept saying to her, don't hide in the closet, go out in the patio. Because she goes to the bedroom, you could go out in the patio from the bedroom, and from there go to the living room once he walks into the bedroom. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But poor Joan, like she clearly, oh man, she's
over her head.
Yeah,
she's over her head.
She's definitely going to need. I'm going to say she's going to need some psychiatric treatment after this. But after what happened with her first psychiatrist, I don't know how she's ever going to trust a doctor again. I don't know.
She's screwed.
So, did the gloves go anywhere after that? She puts them down on the table next to the chess set. But,
right. So yeah, Dr. Fleming tells Columbo, "Oh, I found them. I came home early."
Oh, okay.
That's actually a really funny scene. Let's if we can rewind it about 30 seconds. So Columbo is fiddling with the door while Joan and Fleming are having that drink, right? And they're not expecting Columbo to come that early. They're expecting at 5:30. Columbo will come by, and so they're at the apartment early to set up finding the gloves, and so Columbo's fiddling with the door, and Columbo's playing it. He doesn't expect them to be there. they're not expecting him to be there, so it's kind of a funny situation that arises. He's expecting to get there early and go through it, and Dr. Fleming even calls Columbo out on it, says, "Don't you need a warrant for this?" And Columbo's like, "No, you gave me permission."
Yeah. One of the few times it's actually brought up ever in Columbo. Exactly.
But yeah, so it was a funny situation. But then the cleaners show up. And there's the blue dress. Oh, okay, that's where the blue dress has been this whole time. I found the gloves. So supposedly that's supposed to settle all those niggling things in Columbo's mind.
But then there's other things, of course. There's other issues that keep coming up. I can't remember what they are at the top of my head.
Well, so Columbo at the apartment gets a phone call from the police department. They've got a suspect. This guy named Tommy.
Oh, yes, that's
confessing.
right. Yes.
Yeah, is confessing to the murder, to the theft of the jewelry and all that. And so they run downtown or wherever the police department is. I know we don't live in LA, so I really don't know. But they run down to the police department and they interrogate Tommy. And now, do you think Tommy was planted there by Columbo, or was Tommy actually a legitimate Section 8 crazy guy that just believed he just wanted the newspaper to have his name on it?
He certainly looked like a Section 8 crazy guy, or whatever you call it. He's played by an actor named Anthony James, who has been in movies like Unforgiven and In the Heat of the Night. He's been in a lot of movies.
I recognize him, but I could not place.
But I don't know. It seemed a little bit like filler to me. But what's cool is that after Tommy's escorted out of the room, the doctor and Columbo really go at it, and the doctor basically just says, "Oh, you think I hired this guy?" It's now it's all their dicks are out in the wind. It's there's no more subterfuge at this point. Fleming knows that Columbo did it. I'm sorry, excuse me. Columbo knows that Fleming did it. Fleming knows that Columbo knows that Fleming did it. So they're not, he's not going to dick around anymore and try to be all, pompous like he was in the past.
He calls him out. He says, "I'm thinking about going to Acapulco. Is there any good places to fish?"
Yeah.
He goes, you're always worried when you go fishing around here in the lakes. People just throw things overboard, just throw their trash into the water.
Yeah.
He says, in the ocean, I bet you if you throw something over there, it just disappears forever. He's calling him out right there. He's telling him,
yes,
I know exactly what you did.
We forgot that his luggage was, 13 pounds lighter or 9 pounds lighter when he came home compared to when he left because of all the jewelry and silver candlesticks and stuff that he stashed overboard. Yeah.
If he was smart, he would have bought a ton of tchotchkes and given them back to his friends. Hey, I got you an ashtray from Acapulco.
It's true.
Here's some fish heads from Manuel. It's his famous fish head soup that he made.
I managed to smuggle it through customs.
Or whatever I just said.
Yeah, you're right. He should have bought some more tchotchkes. Yeah. Say, Mr. District Attorney, what's this tacky ashtray you have here?
Okay, so at this point, now that Dr. Fleming is aware that Columbo is, has him as the prime suspect, he then goes to his district attorney friend, Gordon. Did we ever learn Gordon's last name? Or is that the last name?
I thought that was the last name, but I may be wrong. I don't know.
So he asks him for a favor. He's like, Columbo is on me. How could he think that? Can you please do something? And Gordon says, I'll pull some strings. Don't worry about it. I'll get Columbo pulled from the case.
This has happened, of course, half a dozen times in other episodes. Or will happen half a dozen times in other episodes. Never works. It
never does.
Yeah.
Except that one time where Columbo had to explain the case in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Columbo...
what episode was that? I can't remember. I just remember the mayor's taking a piss. And you heard Columbo with the chief all trying to convince that, hey, we're on the right case, or we're on the right track. Don't remove us from this case.
Columbo cries wolf.
That's the one?
Yeah, that's the one. Okay. And because there's...
Yes, with the Playboy. Yep.
Yeah. So, Okay, so it's all balls to the wall at this point.
Yes.
You're expecting Columbo to show up with a paper bag at any moment.
Right. There's no paper bags in this one.
There's a scene which is a little fillery, but he shows up at Fleming's office again and tells him, "Oh, you know what? I should become a patient. What do you think? I should come and see you once a week." And I know that Fleming is thinking that's the last thing he fucking wants ever.
Right. He can't afford my services.
Exactly.
By the way, this is one of my favorite scenes of this episode. I enjoy this scene more than the whole episode almost put together. I love this because now they're playing balls to the wall. They're both playing each other.
Uh-huh.
And each are seeing what the other will say and what the other will do. It's all. I don't know. I love the interaction in this. Anyways, I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. Because he asks Fleming, "Who do you think we're looking for? What kind of a person are we looking for?" And Fleming goes on and on about how intelligent this murderer is, and they're always two steps ahead.
Why would he do? Yeah, why would this murderer do this? He's not a violent person. He's a calculating person, and of course, he's describing Fleming to a T.
Yes.
He's basically saying this is the guy. This personality trait is the murderer, and he has described Dr. Fleming, and Dr. Fleming knows, but he's also Dr. Fleming feels comfortable in letting a little more go than he probably would have in the past.
Yeah,
because Columbo is not on the case anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Of course he is, but Columbo's just playing that.
Yeah. It's really good. It is. I said this before when we did the other pilot episode. It's the template for all of future Columbo. That scene right there. It doesn't advance the plot that much at all, and which is okay because it's all character and it's all establishing this game of cat and mouse that they're playing.
Cat and mouse. Exactly.
So.
There's a line where Dr. Fleming tells Columbo, "You're a sly little elf."
Yeah.
But he's basically saying, you're smarter than you appear.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know what it is, even when we do review Doctor Who, I always enjoyed the episodes where the villain or the monster of the week would underestimate the lead character, think they're stupid or stupider. And Columbo, the Doctor, would outsmart them. It was an act the whole time, just to kind of get them to give up something more, or just trick the villain, right? And this is why I think I enjoy Columbo so much. Is this scene, maybe why I like this scene so much, is this line, this moment in the scene where Dr. Fleming says, you're smarter than you look. You underdress yourself. You carry yourself in a certain way, but you do that to trick. You're a very intelligent person.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love those moments.
Yeah, and it's great. But then it's followed up with one of the worst scenes in Columbo.
Okay, what's that?
Oh, how I hate this scene. He goes to talk to Joan at the studio at Universal.
No, I love this. Oh, okay.
Oh, no. Okay, so he knows that she's in on it. He starts asking her questions about Dr. Fleming. And then he just completely loses it with her and breaks her down.
He doesn't do it that often in the history of the show. I mean, I can think of a few moments, one specifically where with Leonard Nimoy, but he doesn't really lose it that often. So it's I don't think it's abused. I think Columbo he does get angry,
I think it's more along the line. Okay, so when he does it to other murderers, I think that's different. But when he does it to her, it's almost a little bit abusive. And it's almost like something that like a hard-boiled private eye would do, like Philip Marlowe or Sam Spade or something like, "That woman's dead because of you, blah, 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 blah." And she doesn't stand up and take it. She walks away. I mean, it's affecting her. Eventually, it will win the case.
Well-
It will solve the case for him, but
Oh, he knows. I think Columbo, at this last meeting with Dr. Fleming, when they both kind of eye each other up, Columbo knows, I can't beat this guy. He's too smart. He's too on top of his game. He's not going to be the person that's going to break. I've got to find the weakest link.
Okay.
And unfortunately, Joan is the weakest link, and I think that's why he leaves Dr. Fleming alone. I mean, there's a scene where he leaves Columbo. He goes, "Look, I'm going to go to my dinner party. You can stay around and finish this bottle of scotch or whatever they were drinking." And as he's leaving, he goes, "Don't forget to turn out the light." And I think that was a clue to Columbo that he's too perfect. The murder scene, there was no light on. I think that was a clue to Columbo, and that he needed to refocus his attention on Joan. And poor Joan, she got it. She got the brunt of it.
Oh yeah. So the doctor gets a call. Oh, because Joan misses her appointment, calls her house. Secretary tells him, there's been an accident. He shows up, and at Joan's house, and the police are fishing her body out of the pool.
Yes.
And that's when he says, "Well, she means nothing to me, Columbo."
Yeah.
Oh no. He
Yeah.
says, Columbo says to him, "Well, that's it. I guess you beat me."
That's why you killed your wife. The
Yeah.
whole reason you killed your wife. Now it's all gone. You've lost everything. And and Dr. Fleming's like, that. Oh, you silly fool. That's not why I killed my wife. That was not for her. It was for financial reasons.
Yeah. And then, boom. Joan's standing right there in the other room and heard the whole thing. That her lover boy doesn't really love her as much as she thought. And it ends with her giving basically the police a report in the background, while Dr. Fleming in the foreground just sort of wanders over and looks out the window and has a cigarette.
Smokes.
That's right,
Yeah.
he does smoke. And
I like that. This is the second time Columbo, when she's decided to give her statement, he pulls out a pad and he can't find a pencil.
yeah, that's right. It's in the background. Yes.
He has to get one from the local street cop.
Yeah. So, shall we rate Prescription Murder, Steve?
Yes. One thing I do want to bring up that also made me laugh is the scene where Columbo's waiting for Joan outside the studio. He's eating like a popsicle.
Mm-hmm.
And he offers Joan an ice cream, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we do have ice cream in this episode. He offers her an ice cream and she says no. And I'm thinking, if she would have said yes, would he have been happy, because then he could have officially been able to expense the ice cream?
It's true. Oh, one of the hokiest, you see this in movies all the time, especially older movies, where it's shot on, the story takes place on a movie set, and there's that alley. And we see it's been in Columbo a couple times, and they always have the extras walking around, and there's always there's a cowboy, there's a Sikh, in this one there was a Japanese geisha girl.
There was, yeah.
Yeah, it drives me crazy, but yet I think it's kind of charming all at the same time. So
It's kind of fun.
yeah. I'm gonna guess what number you're gonna pick for this, that you're gonna have us rated.
Oh,
out of.
yes?
Oh yeah, I think I know.
Okay, let's hear it. I'm just kind of curious. I'll be honest if it's a number I actually think.
It's gonna be okay. I got two numbers picked. I'm gonna do the easy one first. It's 1 to 315.
315.
It might.
Why
be,
would it be 315?
It might be 316.
Okay,
what's
that number?
That was the number of the hospital room where Carol was staying.
Oh, I didn't catch that at all.
Then
okay.
if it's not that, then I'm going to say that it's 1 to 12,345.
12,345. Okay, what's that from?
Jimmy Fallon is the ew girl. 12,345. That was a number that was pasted on the mirror painting that we see Columbo's reflection in. when he approaches Fleming in the
Now that would have been cool. Oh my god, that would have been amazing. I like that number better than what I actually picked.
No, please, I'll stick to it because I don't like that number. I don't know what to do with that number.
Okay, so initially I was thinking I was going to do how much weight his luggage was over. I thought, no, that's too easy. Sean will pick that one out immediately. So I'm going to go with not 13 pounds. I'm going to go with the dollar amount of $4.50.
Oh, the dry cleaning. Yes.
Yes. How much was owed?
You know, every time.
Yes, the cleaners charged when he got the blue dress back.
That's expensive for 1968 because
is it?
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. It costs about $12 in 2018 to dry clean a two-piece suit. So that means that, I mean, if you think about it, that's probably really expensive for 1968.
Well, it got delivered to his door.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true. Okay. So $450 or $4.50? Do I have to say
$4.50. It has to be in a dollar amount.
Oh shit. Okay, so who did
you
it?
Want me to go first?
You go. You can go first. You can go first. Yes.
I'm going to give this. I'm going to review tonight's episode, Prescription Murder. I was going to say Prescription for Murder, but no, it's Prescription Murder.
I know. It kind of should be, shouldn't it?
But out of $4.50, I'm going to give it. Well, wait. Let me tell you what I liked. Then I'll tell you the score. So I really enjoyed it. It seemed like we mentioned earlier, seemed like something that would be shown in the theater. The film quality was very crisp. Like, it was beautiful on the DVD. No grain. It was just a really beautiful looking film.
Yeah, somebody loved this a great deal and treated it very well for release on DVD, I think.
I like that Columbo is not at this point. He's really not Columbo as we know him. I think kind of like the golden era for me, at least for Columbo, is like season 2 and 3. That's Columbo to me. The later stuff, the 90s, he's more playing a caricature of the character Columbo. But this very first episode, it's new. There's some hints to Columbo, but it's not the Columbo we all know and love, as far as I'm concerned. I feel like this Columbo is a little more intelligent. I don't. That sounds weird, but I just feel like he's more on the ball. But I think it's a wonderful performance. I think Peter Falk nailed it, and so I've watched this multiple times for a reason. I find it very enjoyable. The music is wonderful. I'm really impressed with the music. I thought whoever did the score nailed it. So out of $4.50, I'm going to give it $4.45.
Wow. Okay.
It's really good. I really enjoy this one. It's just such a pleasure to watch. I just enjoy it so much.
Well,
even though it's, we are. I'll say with the later stuff, the '90s stuff, that it's not really Columbo. This is not really Columbo either, but it's just really well done.
I actually agree with you 100%. It does not feel like Columbo. It feels it's like it doesn't feel like canon or something. Like, although it is obviously. But
there's no chili, hard-boiled egg, dog.
Yeah, and some of that stuff can go overboard sometimes. Like, we could spend the first 5 minutes at a Saint Bernard, or not a Saint Bernard, at a the fuck kind of dog is he? It's a he's at a Saint Bernard.
I thought it's a Dalmatian. It's not.
He's not a Dalmatian. He's a
no.
Basset Hound convention.
Yes, that's right.
Things like that, or spend 5 minutes talking about the car or anything like that. I was gonna rate this lower before I watched it, because one of the things that I've never liked about this is that Peter Falk's portrayal of Columbo it's not quite the same, and it's not Peter Falk's fault because it's the first time he played the fucking character, you know?
Right.
I think Gene Barry is really well on this too.
Yes. I should have said that in my review. Yeah, he did an excellent
He was really
job.
good. He is
he played such an ass. Oh my god.
If you know, at the end of all this, after we've seen every single episode, we should each make like a list of like the top 5 assholes. And I think that I've said this more than 5 times already, but he's up there. I mean, he's such a jerk, and mostly because of not the way he treats Columbo, although that's there, but the way that he treats his wife and his little lover. Gene Barry, by the way, was in the War of the Worlds. The old. Did you ever see that War of the Worlds? Scared the shit out of me as a kid. And he also appears in the Steven Spielberg remake starring Tom Cruise. He plays Tom Cruise's dad, I think, in the final moments of the film. He's no longer with us, but maybe I'm just stalling because I don't know yet what I'm going to give this thing.
Well, and if I could add to my review that, the actress who played Joan, Catherine Justice.
Yeah,
I thought she was great. I mean, she was an extremely attractive person. That didn't hurt, but you really felt for her character. You did feel sorry for her. The actress who played the wife, Carol, you know, when she was being murdered, you felt it. Yeah. Oh, you just felt she was so happy. She finally felt like her marriage was finally on the right track. You know, she had been second guessing her husband that he's been fooling around, and then she finally put that to rest. They were going to go on a vacation, have a second honeymoon. This was going to be a reset, and you felt really, really sorry for her when that asshole of a husband, you know, choked her out.
She was so happy, you know. 30 seconds before she died, what was going through her head when he had his hands around her neck? You know? Like,
she was so happy. It was so sad.
Whoops, I made a mistake. I should have called my lawyer.
What was she thinking? Yeah. Oh, like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Is this a new sexual thing?
Well, I really, really don't like the scene between Joan and Columbo at the end at the movie studio.
Oh, really?
I don't like that at all. As I said, it feels out of place. It feels very uncharacteristic, and it feels, I don't want to say unfair to Joan. I think that they could have been a little bit more clever in tricking her or talking her into doing the little stunt that she pulls, pretending to be dead. By the way, notice in that scene and other scenes, he has a briefcase. He never has a briefcase again. So I don't.
It was paper bag after that.
Everything here is perfect, other than that. And
do you think Joan knew about the setup that they were going to call or that they were going to fake her death?
Of course. How else are they going to do it? Well, wasn't she playing dead in the pool?
No, that was an actress or double.
Oh, it was?
Don't you remember? Because when Dr. Fleming was taking that cigarette, he looked out the window and he saw it was another woman standing up from the gurney.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. That's right. Okay. All right.
And I got to ask you this. Would any police department put that much effort in trying to convict somebody? Like, put on his whole production?
You know what? That's interesting. In the last episode that we did, he said that he'd been in the force for 22 years, which means that he started in 1968, which means that he's a gumshoe at this point. It would be very hard for a detective of that like rank or experience to talk everybody else into staging that whole thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to give this $4.26. I really,
very nice. Okay.
I really have some problems with the way that the conversation flowed between Columbo and Joan. Made me feel uncomfortable, a little bit misogynist, but everything else was pretty damn fucking perfect. It does not, however, remain one of my favorite Columbos because in no way, shape, or form does it feel like I'm watching Columbo, even though I am. Like you said, there are 90s episodes that I enjoy more than this, like Agenda for Murder or Columbo Likes the Nightlife. So I'm Yeah, I think that I've gone to the good side, not the dark side, but the light side, whatever, with this now, after watching this and hearing your praises for it. So I'm gonna give it $4.26, less than you.
$4.50 total.
Yeah, less than you, but still well above average.
Yeah,
so
it was very enjoyable. A very enjoyable watch.
Like if this is the only thing that they did, and you showed of Columbo ever, and you showed this to me now, I would be like, oh, this is fantastic. This should be released on Blu-ray and commentary by all the actors. This is a really good, honest to good, decent, good movie. This is like almost like a Hitchcock or something, like a Dial M for Murder. So yeah, it's good stuff overall. I can't really complain that much.
Yeah, no, very enjoyable. All right, so is it time to pick the next episode?
Yes, Steve, it is time to swing the Wiggin' Wheel of the 90s.
So how many more episodes of 90s do we have? 2?
7.
Is that what you said?
We have 7.
Oh, I thought we had way less than that.
No. We're about halfway done now, Steve. So 7 is what we're... So go ahead and spin. All right, it's going to be A Trace of Murder.
Trace of Murder. Okay, I have not seen that.
This is starring Shara Denise and some other guy as the murderers. And with that said, you probably already know what I think about it.
Uh-huh.
But I've got good news, Steve.
Yes.
Barney's Beanery is in it a lot. Like, I think just as much as the It's All in the Game episode with Faye Dunaway. He's in this a lot. Like John Finnegan comes back. So yeah, wow. Okay, so I'm excited. I haven't seen this one in years actually, and I'm excited so I can take another look at it, and maybe it will be one of my most favorite episodes ever now. Although I actually kind of doubt it. Yeah. So.
All right, I am looking forward to it, Sean.
All right, with that, my friends listening, that concludes season 7 of our podcast.
Wow.
It probably won't be long until season 8 pops up, because this is the first weekend right now when we're recording. Our last episode of last season, Agenda for Murder, went up last week, so I just gotta fucking sit down and edit a bunch of shit, and then you'll get all this, and then stay tuned for A Trace of Murder. So, okay.
Can't wait. Good night, Sean.
Good night, everybody! Thank you for listening to the Columbo Confab podcast. To email us with a comment or question, write to columboconfab@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @columboconfab, and look for us on Facebook. If you're enjoying the show, please leave us some happy reviews on iTunes.
I love clues.
Hello, I'm Sean, and I'm the host of the 1001 Movies podcast, based on the book 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. Each episode, I randomly pick a film from the book and spend about 10 minutes talking about its director, the cast, the genre, and my personal thoughts on the merits of the film. Each delicious yet bite-sized episode contains information about a film from practically any genre, any country, or any year. Check us out on iTunes, and we'll send you free cookies.